Hello from Bali. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about ethnography and let's start with the definition.
Ethnography, this word which contain from the two parts, ethnos with people or someone who live on the territory, and graphos, it's how to write. Ethnography, this science which try to discover all areas of human being while living in society. For example, stories, musics, songs, history, way of living, how people put seeds in the ground, how they hunt, how they cook, how they married, how they buried dead people, and so on.
And when, let's say, we're working as an ethnologist, so what kind of sources we may discover, explore while we're trying to, like build off those stories? So this will be the first question, and I will try to combine. So when we try to build our stories, what kind of the final goal we may have, or it might be like a quite a routine. Basically, we just pretend that we vacuum cleaner. We try to, look into different areas, collect information, and then decide what to do with it.
First, we will look for something which would distinguish this territory or those people from life we have been living for a long time. For example, if we will go to some African tribes, we will find that some of them ask their sons when they will get like 14 to hunt for the leopard, or jaguar, or even lion. And if person will not come with fur of the dead animal, they will think that it is a coward. Another way, for example, some of Swahili talking people, they calculate price of the future wives. For example, you will meet head of the village and you will ask, okay, if I want this woman to be my wife, how it could be established or managed? And he will say, the name of this girl is Kakula, and he is worth for 80 cows. And you will say, come on, so I should bring 80 cows? And he will say, yes, you can even steal them, but not from the tribes which have a territory very close to us. If it would be like 80 miles, it's okay, but not closer.
Well, actually, this is a funny stuff because one of my questions was like, let's say we have those two tribes, and they also maybe have stories not only about them, but about this neighborhood tribes, meaning that giving all of this like circumstances or biases or like any other dynamics in their relationship, it might be had a certain degree. And obviously we could observe that in the big history because, like every time we read something, it's someone else's point of view on something else, especially their neighbors.
Yes, for example, if I will go to Peru, I have been there for 3 times because while I was in Kiev Polytechnical Institute, there were 4 classmates with me, and I was very familiar with them. For example, I was tasting smoothie from the frogs. When I was in Cambodia, I was tasting fresh juice squeezed from turtles. While I was in Korea, I was eating quite funny dogs. By the way, in Peru, I was eating cats. So if you will be on different territories, you will know and you will learn a lot of people's tricks. For example, if you will be on the edge of the north, крайний север, far north,
Yeah, extreme north, far
extreme
north.
north, there would be a people, they are called Eskimos, and they, for example, have 26 names for the snows. And if you will live with them, you will be on the very first night, you will be offered a wife of some of them, not because you are eager to have a sex, because they want to have babies from strangers. They found that babies born from strangers, they have a high, высокие.
High or tall.
They are tall and they крепкие, strong, and they are strong.
Strong, yeah.
So you will do them a favor, not them. By the way, in this case, you could catch syphilis. It's okay to say syphilis?
Yeah, it's called syphilis.
Because they have not a good hygiene, a good level of hygiene.
Yes, the hygiene.
hygiene. But for example, if you will go around their fireplace and your shadow will fall on their food, they will refuse to eat it. So their food священный, not
Holy
signed,
or sacred.
sacred, and your shadow will spoil it, so they will never eat. If you will ask, do you have something tasty? They will give you some internal parts of the deer neck. They have just only sweet they have. So you will eat, I don't know how to say, хрящи, aortu.
Maybe conjunctions or
Conjunctions,
maybe
you
arterials
will,
or aortas.
yes, you will eat conjunctions of the deer neck. If you, for example, will be on some island in Indonesia, you will find that they have very special day while people meet their parents. They will go in the forest, and there would be a hidden village with very small homes, and in these homes would be a people, dead people, completely dead people, which are sitting on the tables, and this day they would be washed, their clothes will be changed, and they will be invited for evening, and everyone would talk with them as alive. If you will be on Borneo Island, you will find that less than 20 years ago, it was the last written case of cannibalism because they have a lot of headhunters. And whole villages, they live in a very huge home in a row, long one. In the middle, it would be a place for women and children, but on the edges would sleep just warriors with knives ready to be struggling with attackers.
And sometimes while we might be, like hearing all of the stories, like collecting different items and, like collecting tales, some of them actually might not be true, or some of them might be faked. Or so how do we distinguish all of the ethnology from the myth and the tales, or like even the fairy tales?
I have been to Kenya, and I was there working on some project, and I was living in quite good home. And then I was asked, "Do you want to go to excursion?" And I said, "Yes, okay." And I have been to tribe, and they have very small houses made from, I don't know how to say, cow shit. It's okay to say cow shit and straw.
Yep.
And those homes has no windows, just doors. And before doors, it would be like small labyrinths that no one could see what is going inside. And I was drinking milk with blood from antelope. It's okay to say antelope?
Antelope.
From antelope and so on. And then all tourists were gone because they were brought to this place, to the jeeps. And suddenly I was invited in a real village. And the real village was not an African one. They have fridges, they have TVs. So they just working in this place to show tourists how they lived like 50 years ago. But now they boil rice in pots. They have glasses, and they used to drink cola or Fanta and something like this. And it was completely astonishing. So whole village, like 80% of the people, women, men and children, they were going to work to show tourists how they were dealing with the nature for previous years. And another day I was in, let me remember, Tanzania, and I have been to Maasai tribe, and also with tourists, and it was like I don't know how to say, like a test who will jump higher. And we were wearing special ponchos, and we were trying to jump. And I found that those people are jumping maybe 20 or 30 centimeters higher than me, and they were explaining who jumps higher will be a better husband. Then I have been to Ethiopia. I have working for 3 weeks, and I found that women like people with a huge belly, because if man has a huge belly, it's a very strong sign that he has access to the meat. And if man had enough meat, he could feed his family well, so he would be a good husband. So it's quite strange. Yes, in our culture, we want to be slim, we want to be dynamic. But in African tribes, Ethiopian tribes, they're looking for men with big belly. In another way, I have been to one Arabic country, a very small one, and suddenly I found that there are some tribes where in family mother is main person, and future husbands, they are trying to cover their face with maquillage. So they're trying to put, for example, line on the nose to show that they have a quite ровный,
Straight.
straight nose. And for example, they make, I don't know how to say, pink cheeks to show that they are healthy. And they make very dark eyes to make look them big and so on. And when I was looking at this, it was quite strange. So all women, they were looking very severe, like Amazonians. But all men, they were looking like, I don't know how to say, like clowns.
Well, I do believe at certain point of time, matriarchy actually could show like maybe the practical at certain point of view, the way of the things. And when we speak about ethnology, probably like it would find its use, let's say, in a business in a day-to-day life. For example, if you want to do impression management, we actually could remember that hey, if we serve milk, but maybe like we add some tomato juice in the memory of this, like an antelope milk, so that like we could bring something new. Because what I kind of noticed. More or less all of the world is actually getting similar. I mean, to a certain extent, maybe it's like a food traditions or even the way we dress. So at least probably, like if we know this, we could use it in the different areas. So what might be interesting or quite argumental applications of knowing one world and bringing it to another?
I will tell you a story. It was one meeting like 5 or 6 weeks ago in the Moscow. I was asked to meet one person from the India, and he asked me to find a place to have a meeting. And I asked him where he stopped, the name of hotel, and then I tell him we will meet in Cynic Cafe. This cafe is made for vegetarian, but it has a touch of India. And then we were eating, and then I asked owners to prepare some special food, like a chicken green curry, and also papadums, the small pancakes, and then when he was served, he asked, is this Indian cafe? I told him no, but I have been working in India, I have been working to Pakistan, and I have been living 3 years with a guy from Sri Lanka, so I know a bit of your culture, and I know like 300 words in Hindi, and we start to talk, and he were talking to me, I'm already for 2 months in Moscow, and now it was like a touch of my motherland, so it was very pleasant. And now we make some deals with diamonds and also spices. But who knows, maybe that was also from his side a trick, maybe it was not so tasty. When I was working in Ukraine and I was coming to Moscow almost each month, I was spending here for several years, at least 1 week, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks. And what's funny? Always when people learn that I'm from Ukraine, they were trying to invite me in the Moscow, but to Ukrainian restaurant, its name was like Taras Bulba, Karchma Taras Bulba. And for me, it was quite strange because there were music in Ukrainian language, there were food quite similar to be Ukrainian, and also waiters were in Ukrainian. But when I was trying to talk with them with Ukrainian, they will say, I can't understand. And all impressions were broken.
Well, and actually, I do believe all of this actually was a nice segue explaining how knowing about ethnology could make this world a better place. Stay in peace.